Good morning, traders. Chris Buss here with Traders Profit Compass with a update of the SPDR Sector ETFs. It is about 10 minutes to 9 pre-market on Monday, July 12th as I'm starting the video. Let's run through these real quick. XLB materials. We had the uptrend line. We had the break of that line on the corrective activity in the materials sector. Came down here. We tagged this 80 spot 50 with a low. We've been consolidating between, let's call it 82.50 and 80.50. Notice the double bottom divergence. We had a low here, which gave us a low in PPO and a low in RSI. We came up, we came back to test that low, and now we have some positive divergence in momentum and positive RSI divergence. What I would look for here is for price to recapture the 50 EMA at 83.21. If that's something you want to alarm, even if you're not going to trade it, that would be a good read on a cyclical rebound. You would probably see in association with that, the 10-year yields begin to rise again. Notice that we've been in a downward trend on yields, and that's bearish cyclicals and materials and all that kind of stuff. And that's when all this was happening. But now we've had a stabilization. We have the positive divergence. And if you were interested in that trade, I would wait for price to recapture the 50. Then you've got all these fast moving averages below price. And if you are familiar with my work, that's a place I like to be when all these start to turn up. And then you can have all the moving averages and this technical support here at 82.50 to shoot against. And what you would probably see there is an acceleration of momentum higher, and you would see RSI break above 50. XLC communications, of course, you're basically tracking Google and Facebook, which is 44% of the index. Whenever Facebook and Google are strong, communications is going to be strong. I think you can stay long here above 80, above 80.25, whatever that is. If you had got a back test of 80 and the uptrend line, that's an objective place to try a long or on a breakout to new all-time highs right here about 82.50. So I think communications remains strong. And like I say, we've been bullish on Facebook and Google. And as long as those are strong, you're going to see that in communications. XLE recently has wobbled. It has not really failed. I think you can be long against 51.50 if you really want to be in the sector. Notice we've got a PPO reset here at zero line. What you want to see, if you're a bull, you want to see that PPO come into zero, give yourself a bull cross right here, and see RSI break above 50. What you would likely see then in price is a recapture of the 50, a recapture of these fast moving averages, the 8 and the 20, and a recapture of this rising trend line here above 54. And for me, that's the trade. Wait for the moving averages to be recaptured. Wait for the bull cross in momentum. Wait for this trend line to be recaptured. And then you got price on the right side of the chart. And then you can go from there on a break above 54. And if there was a place to set an alarm, I would certainly do it right there at 54. And also, just I don't have it here, but this is a proxy for Chevron and ExxonMobil. I think the two of those together are somewhere between 25 and 30% of that index. So if you want, if you're comfortable with XLE, that's what you're trading, Chevron and Exxon, those mega cap energy names. If you want something with more beta, you can look at XOP. That tracks more closely the EMP names and more closely tracks the oil price directly. So that would be a higher beta play on energy if you're interested in that. Financials. Kind of the same look as materials, because the falling interest rate environment has not been, that's a bearish factor on financials. We came in here, tested a low at 35.50. We bounced, came back down. We didn't quite get a retest, but you can see that there is some positive divergence, just like on materials, where at this low, we had higher RSI and slightly higher momentum. What I would want to see here is a break above 36.75, and that way you would take out all this congestion here and get price above all that. It would recapture all the fast moving averages. And like I said, if you see interest rates rising, we've got big banks right on top of us on earnings. This will be largely influenced by, Goldman Sachs and Bank of America, all those big names, JP Morgan. Those are all heavily weighted in this index. So I'm not going to do anything ahead of earnings, but if you wanted to, this would be a decent play to get in there, be long financials without taking a specific bet on any one particular bank. So I would take a look at that if you're bullish on banks and you think interest rates are going to be rising. Industrials have had a decent recovery off of this spike low down to 99. We're back up here at 103.50. I wouldn't take it right here. We've got a decent amount of resistance here at 104. I would put yourself an alarm there at 104, and you can buy that on a break above. I would also put an alarm back here at 102. Why? Because that's the 50. And if you were to back test the 50, then if you were bullish industrials, you can get long against the 50, and then you can look for a bounce up towards 104, and then hopefully get that breakout. But then you would have a very objective entry level, slightly lower prices, and then you could set a stop just below the 50, and that would be a very objective trading location. XLK, this has been off to the races. I think we flagged this breakout here at 143. You can see that price has been riding the 8 EMA. I don't think you can buy it right here. It's kind of out in space. It's a little bit extended. If you're in this, you're probably in Apple, you're probably in Microsoft, you may be in, Amazon and these other names, the mega cap tech names. They've been doing well. So here, I would just let this one go. And this is a big if down the road we get a back test of this breakout back to 143 and this trend line that I've got marked here in dashed brown, that would be a back test of the 50. That would be a back test of lateral support. That would be a back test of the trend line. That would be a back test of the breakout. And it doesn't get any more objective than that. So, but of course, in order for that to happen, you'd see Apple roll over, you'd see Microsoft roll over, you'd see a pullback in, a bunch of tech names. And if you got that, that would be a place to hit it long. And if it's more than that, then you could go short here, say at 142, if this whole thing were to fall apart later in the summer. Maybe after tech earnings, if there's some kind of big negative surprise, that would be a place to highlight on the chart. And one of your first tip-offs would be a break of RSI trend that I've got here. And you would also see PPO momentum put in a bear cross here and start to roll over. And so if you are long from this breakout, I would certainly be ratcheting up your stops or moving up your strikes, making sure you got paid for that breakout, keep everything relatively tight, and then watch RSI and watch PPO like a hawk. And I would also be watching the 8 EMA like a hawk as well. You certainly don't want to see price break the 8-day and then break the 20-day. If that were to happen, you got to get very tactically defensive and expect a move all the way back to the 50. Staples aren't a big focus of mine, but if you're in it, I think you can be long against 70 above all the moving averages here and technical support. Healthcare. We got long here on this breakout above 125. Been riding the 8-day ever since. Here too, watch RSI trend. Make sure that that doesn't break. Watch PPO momentum. Notice we've got a divergent high. What do I mean by that? We've got price at all-time highs, but we've got momentum at a much lower level than it was back here when price was way down here. So we do have bearish divergence, and that's something to always pay attention to. It's not a sell signal because, price is the ultimate arbiter, but I would certainly have rolled up your strikes and your stops up here and keep your eye peeled on the 8-day and the 20 and this rising trend line. If you got a pullback to trend and you weren't in it and you got a back test of the 20, that would be an objective place to try a long. XLY, Amazon 24% of the index. If you see Amazon go up $300 like we've seen in the last couple weeks, XLY is going to do great. We got long down here on the recapture of this, all the moving averages, and out of this consolidation triangle, we got long 175. Then we rolled up to the 180 calls. You should still be long. There's no reason to sell. Now you're shooting against 180, and I would stay long against that level. You can watch PPO. You can watch this trend line here on RSI. Whenever you've got a rising trend in RSI, you can always put a trend line on that from the low, connecting these lows here. That'll put your trend line out here somewhere. You just don't want to see RSI drop back below. And if you saw that, you'd probably see some type of a pullback in Amazon that was driving that. So that's a quick recap of the sector spiders. And like I say, even if you don't trade them, you should watch them. They'll give you clues on what's going on under the surface. If you see financials and materials and industrials breaking out, that'll be a good indication that the cyclical reopening trade is back on. If those continue to be soggy, then you lean towards technology, consumer discretionary, and healthcare with the staples XLP just kind of being another defensive sector. So I hope it helps. If you're new to the channel and you like the analysis, hit the alarm bell and the subscribe button. That way you'll get updates on all my YouTube content. But if you go over to the show notes, there's a place to register for all my content, and that way you'll get midday market notes, anything that I send out via email directly in your email box, and you won't have to hunt around for other posts. So we'd be glad to have you, and I'll send you an invite to our trading room. A lot of good traders, a lot of good guys, a lot of good camaraderie. We've got some sharp female traders as well, which is always nice. So we'd be glad to have you there. And of course, longtime listeners, I really appreciate your support. Do me a favor, pass the link along to others in your various trading groups and social media posts. Help me build the channel. I really appreciate it. This has been Chris Buss with Traders Profit Compass. Have a good day of trading, and talk to you next.